Good morning, everybody. Okay, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So, good afternoon, everybody. This is Gardening Warrior Q, and we are again in the Q kitchen, getting ready for the school week, and making some breakfast sandwiches for the girls. And what I have here, I'm actually using a recipe for bacon, egg, and cheese eggs for breakfast sandwiches. But I'm going to tweak it a little because, that's just what I like to do. It called for 8 slices of bacon cut into pieces. I had a hunk of 24 ounces of bacon. So I cut it, just a second, let me show you. So I cut it into quarters. This is one I haven't cut because I want these bigger pieces. But you saw how I did it, and I just cut it into thirds. And then cut these into little chunks. Except these I'm using for BLTs, so we're not going to cut those. Not BLTs, bacon cheddar hamburgers. Alright, so this is the second pan, and what I've done is instead of separating them like I did with the others, I just pretty much separated them a little bit and covered the entire bottom of the glass baking dish. And I will link the recipe down below that I used for inspiration. But as always, I'm changing it up a little. The sheet pan needs 16 eggs. So I'm thinking right here, we can get away with 12. So that's the main tweak that I'm using because I don't want to overflow my pan. And this pan is a 9x13, whereas my sheet pan is a lot bigger. So, next, on to the eggs. So I kind of forgot one very vital step. We have to cook this bacon partially through before we put the egg mix on. So I've got my oven preheated to 350, and we're going to put it in there for 20 minutes. Because I just so happen to know that's how long it's going to take. All right, I'll be back. Alright, so the first recipe, which is being done on the sheet pan, is going to need 16 eggs and half a cup of half and half. So, just a little tip, when you're cracking your eggs, these are store-bought eggs, but they've been on my kitchen table for 5 days. Always crack them into a separate container before you put them in, just to make sure that you don't have a bad egg. I did not have any bad eggs. So now I'm going to take my fork, squish, and stir. This way I know that I've gotten all those egg yolks nice and broken up. And you don't want to over stir your eggs. But that looks beautiful. And it looks like everything is all mixed in there together. And now we're going to add our half and half. The half and half is going to make the eggs nice and fluffy. And in our house, we like fluffy eggs. And that's why I cleaned that out, so I could put my fork there. So, if your refrigerator is possessed like mine and likes to freeze things, then you'll just have to use milk if your half and half gets stuck in the back of the refrigerator and is frozen solid. So, it will still be nice and light and fluffy. It just won't be as creamy as I want it. And I'm pretty much going to eyeball this. Because I've made sheet pan eggs for years and years and years. Make sure the milk is well incorporated, and now we're going to add a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. So I added a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of pepper. Mix that all up again. And now we're going to pour it over our bacon that's already come out of the oven, or at least one has. And I'm going to take my spatula and get those bacon pieces loose. But we're going to use the grease that it naturally put out, which actually isn't really much, and I didn't use lean. It was very fatty bacon. It was beef bacon. I don't know if that makes a difference. I know that the beef bacon is not as fatty as pork bacon, but my children just prefer beef bacon and turkey bacon to pork bacon. So hopefully this will be enough oil to keep it from sticking to the pan. We're about to find out. So really what you want to do is take your egg scraper like I just did and loosen all the bacon pieces. And now we're going to put them back to where it's, a little more even, because there's a big old empty spot and no bacon here. That will not fly, my friends. All right, so that's better. And I just realized I forgot to cook 2 cups of shredded cheese. So I'm going to add that to the mix of the egg mix, and then I will put that over the bacon. I think I could have used more bacon, but oh well. All right, so the cheese has been added. Mix that good. And the reason I use real cheese and then shred it is because I don't like all the additives in there. They make it that keep it from clumping together. I don't care if it's clumped. I'll just take my hands and break it apart. No biggie. At least I know what's in my cheese. All right, now let's try this again. All right, now this is kind of uneven, I'm seeing here. There we go. I'm just going to pour this mix all over there. And then we're going to have a little bit of a trick getting it into the oven. Obviously, I can't show you that and hold the phone at the same time, or we will have egg mess all over the floor. So, all right, make sure it's all nice and even in there, and it will even out once I put it in the oven. I'll be right back. Now we're going to set the timer for 25 minutes, maybe. And when that dings, we'll have this finished and ready to go in. Now this one took a little longer. The pieces were the same size and everything. It just took a little bit longer on the bottom than it did on the top. I have no idea why. But now we're going to find the spatula. Egg turner is what I call it. And we're going to move that all around. Because we want that egg get all that good stuff. This actually has the same amount of bacon. It's just a much smaller baking sheet. So now we're going to make our egg mix. Okay, so besides having less eggs and less cream in it, well, milk, this has a few added ingredients. I added a little bit more cheese to this one. I also added, because this is for Owl. Owl likes to, she likes a lot of flavor. Let's just put it that way. I was out of pepper. So instead of putting a teaspoon of pepper, I put a teaspoon and a half of her Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning. I put a teaspoon of onion powder and a teaspoon of granulated garlic and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. The cheese, like I said, is natural block cheese that I shredded, so it's already got a little bit of saltiness to it. I like to just add like a pinch of salt. I should say more like 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, just to really make the flavors pop. That's kind of salt's purpose. So now we are going to put this into here. There are some bigger clumps of cheese, but that's perfectly okay. Now, we're ready to pop this in the oven. So, since we already have 16 minutes to go on this, I'm going to turn my microwave timer on to 25 minutes if I can get my hand to stop shaking. Because it is thicker, I'm going to leave it at the 25 minutes, and then we'll check it then. And we'll be back. All right, so now what I've done is I have let them cool slightly, and I have taken them out with my little egg beater after I cut them in little, pieces, and I've flipped them over to let the bottom sides cool because they are thinner. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the nice big fluffy ones over here for Owl. Maybe. These don't flip as easy. And they're still a little too hot to be flipping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them, make sure that they are loose from the bottom. All right, so I'll be back when it's time to put them together. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Gardening Warrior Q, and last night I made up a little bit of meat mix. So that's a pound of meat. Okay, it's probably about a pound and a half of meat. And this orange stuff here is actually the equivalent of 1 carrot and 3 skinned, with the skin off, peeled, whatever, small eggplants that I got from the donation that I'm still working through. 2 eggs and a teaspoon of black pepper, a tablespoon of granulated garlic, tablespoon of my onion powder, and Miss Owl has decided that she wanted a little bit of Tony's in there, so that's what we're doing. And now I'm going to bust those eggs up. I did put those 2 eggs in last night, and I was going to do this last night, but for some reason, I can only find one of my 9x13 casserole dishes. I don't know where the rest of them are. So, there's that. I'm going to blend this all together with my hands. Best tools you have, the ones the good Lord gave you. I'll be right back. All right, so the first sheet is done, and it looks absolutely beautiful. Gorgeous, perfect, wonderful, whatever you want to call it. It looks great. We're going to let it cool for a little bit before we cut it, though, okay? And by the time that we have let this cool to cut it, the other one will be ready to come out. Just ignore that chatter in the back. It's John from over at Will It Grow. He thinks he needs to have himself a pop-up live, and everybody's supposed to just drop what they're doing and come along. It don't work that way. We have lives. All right, so we have cut it now, and I'm going to start pulling it out to put onto the rolls. Well, it's like this. Maggie apparently likes her egg sheet very well. She just came and took 3 pieces And this is hers. She likes hers a little thinner, so that's why. And hers does not have the extra spice to it. The Tony Chachere's. I don't know how to say it. Anyways, it doesn't have the hot stuff in it. And apparently it was so good she took 3 pieces. And scratched Grammy's sheet. All right. Well, it's time to get the other one out. I already turned it off. It was still not quite as golden brown as Al likes. So I turned it off, but I let the oven stay open a little bit and left it in there. And now it's perfect. So let me get that out of there. Ooh-wee, them are some pretty eggs. Now I just have to make the crescent rolls. Maggie just took one of her sister's breakfast sandwich rolls, and I have one left. So somebody obviously got into them, and neither girl likes the pretzel rolls. Those are mine. So I've got some tubes of crescent rolls in the fridge, and I'm going to make some up so we can put these on. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's nice and fluffy. She does have some carb-free tortilla wraps, so I might do that with these because she prefers those as she's going to the bus stop. This is gorgeous. This came out so good. I am so proud of myself.
Always trying to be nice and everything, but she had to be sociable, and to look about things and how things look, kind of like that.
Oh, that is so beautiful. All right, so it's a winner. We're going to let them cool off, and then I will put them together. When I put them together, I will come back and just show you how I do that. But for right now, it's cooked. It looks beautiful and perfect. And now I just got to let them cool so that we can put them on the bread or the tortillas. All right, bye.